Trump told Walmart to, quote, eat the cost of rising tariffs so they can keep prices low for consumers.
A retail giant is closing stores. Walmart plans to shut down 269 stores.
World's biggest retailer by volume and profit, that would be Walmart, warned today that it may have to start raising prices later this month due to President Trump's tariff policy.
They're able to do that.
When you say that Walmart should eat the cost of the tariffs, is that an acknowledgement that it is U.S. companies that bear the brunt of tariffs, not foreign countries?
Sometimes the country will eat it, sometimes Walmart will eat it, and sometimes there'll be something to pay, something extra. I've always been a fan.
Long regarded as a symbol of affordable shopping, has taken steps that millions of Americans felt almost immediately. Rising costs forced the company to shift parts of its supply chain outside the U.S., changing the way goods reached shelves. For households already under pressure, this meant one thing: higher prices and fewer options. Today, we'll explore how this decision reshaped the retail landscape in America and far beyond. Walmart isn't just another retailer, it is the backbone of U.S. shopping. More than 4,700 stores nationwide, hundreds of millions of transactions every month. A vital source of low-cost goods, especially in smaller towns. For many families, Walmart is not just a store, but the main place to access food, clothing, and household essentials. When a company this large adjusts its supply chain, the ripple effect is instant. Even staples like beef, milk, and fresh produce suddenly became unpredictable in both price and availability. In April 2025, a new trade order introduced sweeping tariffs. Almost all imports faced a baseline 10% tariff. Chinese goods were hit with duties as high as 145%. Overnight, retailers were confronted with billions in unexpected costs. For Walmart, Target, and Costco, this created an urgent challenge. Their business models relied on affordable imports, and suddenly that foundation was shaken. Retailers scrambled to find alternatives. Vietnam, India, and other Asian countries became the focus of new supply contracts. But shifting supply chains built over decades was not simple. Many factories lacked the scale or infrastructure to handle the sudden demand. Shortages and delays were inevitable, and customers began to feel them almost immediately. By summer, shoppers noticed the difference. Shipping containers arriving from Asia doubled in cost within just weeks. Deliveries that once took 5 days now stretched to 2 weeks or more. Entire categories of goods, toys, electronics, patio furniture, vanished from store aisles. Prices rose sharply on school supplies, detergents, and paper products. Families who counted on Walmart for savings suddenly faced higher bills. Small and mid-sized businesses also suffered. Banks grew cautious and cut back on loans. Logistics companies raised their rates. Many local suppliers could no longer cover expenses, forcing them to scale back or shut down. The ripple effect of tariffs reached far beyond retail giants. Manufacturers in Asia faced their own crisis. Electronics factories in India slowed down because they still relied on critical parts from China. Food shipments spoiled as ports became clogged. Refrigerated containers full of beef and vegetables sat idle, leaving farmers with heavy losses. U.S. agriculture was hit hard. Dairy producers saw milk prices collapse at home while exports dried up abroad. Pork and poultry piled up in warehouses, straining farmers and processors alike. For U.S. households, the picture was clear. Economists warned that tariffs would add at least $1,000 a year to average family expenses. Middle-class families with children felt the impact even more sharply. The promise of affordable goods was slipping away. Inside Walmart itself, the disruption was visible. 10 major distribution centers were temporarily shut down, putting over 50,000 workers at risk. Many employees lost overtime pay, and some saw their hours cut. For communities where Walmart was a key employer, this created new financial uncertainty. Even Walmart's online marketplace struggled. Thousands of small sellers raised prices or left the platform entirely, unable to keep up with rising costs. the consequences reached far beyond the US. European markets lost $180 billion in value within 3 days of the tariff announcement. South Korean automakers saw exports collapse under new restrictions. Shipping costs on routes from Asia to the US tripled, forcing many businesses to rethink their global strategies. Latin American economies, closely tied to US demand, also slowed. From factories in Mexico to farms in Brazil, the effects were unmistakable. What began as a national trade decision quickly spiraled into one of the largest retail disruptions in decades. It reshaped how companies plan supply chains and revealed just how fragile global trade has become. Walmart, once the promise of everyday low prices, now faces one of the greatest challenges in its history. For American families, this means higher costs and fewer choices. For global markets, it is a warning sign that a single policy shift can shake economies worldwide. The question is no longer whether households will feel the impact, but how long it will last, and whether retailers, policymakers, and consumers can adapt before the pressure becomes permanent. Walmart's struggle shows how quickly global systems can break under pressure. For families, it means higher bills at the checkout line. For companies, it means rebuilding supply chains from the ground up. The only question now is, will these changes be temporary, or are we witnessing the beginning of a permanent new reality?